Good morning, and you find me out taking photos today. I'm at Windmill End, or that's the name given to this area by boaters. It's also known as Bumble Hole Nature Reserve or Warren's Hall Park, depending which bit you're actually in. I'll flip the camera around so you can see exactly where we are. Okay, so this is where the name comes from for boaters. So we've got a junction here of the canals. Going off to the right takes you to Cumswood, and it used to take you to Lappel and into Birmingham. If you go straight on, you get to Netherton Tunnel, which is just a short way along there. And in the distance you can see Cobb's Engine House. What I'm going to do now is take you to a place which I've photographed a few times, which is Swan Pool. Morning. Here you can see these roving bridges, which is where the horses used to travel across the canal in the old days, where they had horse-driven boats. This is the view of the junction from the other side. So I've just come over the bridge now, and you can see this used to be quite an industrial landscape. So there was trains crossing the canal, and there was lots of mines in the area. As you'll see in a minute, I'll take you back round to Swan Pool. Just have a little diversion down to the tunnel. Okay, so this bridge here was an old railway bridge, I believe, but I'll do some checking on that. And as we just come round the corner, you can see Netherton Tunnel in the distance here. Oops. Okay, so there you've got a view of Netherton Tunnel, just a little way down from the junction itself, and that takes you onto the main line into Birmingham. Okay, so from the junction, if we go up into the sunlight, and then we'll get down to Swan Pool. Okay, so we're walking down to Swan Pool now. There are a number of pools in the area, and they attract a lot of wildlife: cormorants, herons, swans, as the name Swan Pool might suggest. There's also lots of other wildfowl as well. It also, as a nature reserve, attracts butterflies. Okay, so we're just approaching Swan Pool now. So here is the Swan Pool. During the summer this year, 2025, it lost a fair bit of the water. You see quite a few birds on the pool this morning. But the best view is just round here. Certainly the best view on the morning is just round here, where you've got a sneak peek of the old industrial past. You can see the engine house again. And this is an area where I've taken a number of photos in the past, and I'll take another one this morning. Okay, so what I'm planning to do, I'll set up my camera, I'll show you what the picture looks like on camera, and then when I get back home I'll take you through editing the photo as well to see what we get. I've also got pictures from different times of the year taken from the same spot. They'll be slightly different because the lens won't be a 16mm or an 18mm or even the 27mm, but I'll share with you some of the other pictures I've taken during the year. See, I've lined up the shot, and these Cobb's engine house, which is an old steam pumping house to empty the mines of water, and that's in the distance, and I've actually dropped that roughly on the thirds. I'll just adjust the position. Okay, we've got a few weeds in the foreground as well. I might adjust the position in a minute and get those out of the way, but I will take a picture here, and then I'll take a few pictures moved across a little way. Okay, so I've just moved across and adjusted it. We've got the sunlight just coming up. Just need to adjust the framing again, and I'll get a picture taken there. Okay, so this is the raw image that I started with. This is the one with the weeds in front. So I've got a choice because I use Fujifilm cameras, and I'm going to pick probably the Reala Ace film simulation. Then, having chosen that, I will bring the highlights down just a little bit, and I'm going to boost the shadows, so I've got a bit more detail over this side here and over there. Might drop the exposure and increase the contrast as well, just a little bit. So I'm happy I've got some detail over there, and that's all I'm going to do with this one. So that's using Reala Ace, and I've got everything else is pretty much okay. The sky was completely blue, so there's nothing to do with the sky, and that's all the editing I'm going to do with that one. So I will file. So this was without the weeds, pretty much without the weeds in front. There were a few, and again I'm going to do the same sort of thing. So I'm going to browse for, and I'll choose a different one. Could go for Velvia. Problem with Velvia is it does take the highlights away, but I can bring them back again. So the shadows, and I can bring the shadows back. I'll need to do that, and then drop the highlights. Okay, so that's brought the autumn colours out a little bit more, and then we've got that nicely balanced. Just check where it is, pretty much spot on. So I'll just come in from this side, so that's nicely on the thirds, and that's again pretty much all the editing I'm going to do on that one. So I've tweaked the exposure, the highlights and the shadows on that one because I've used Velvia. If I don't use Velvia, my other option would be to use Astia, and again if I use that one I can actually drop the highlights, leave the highlights where they are a little bit. Okay, and then I might go with that, boost the shadows a bit more, just to pull these up here. The other way I sometimes work is if I go down and select across, and then we take the highlights and the shadows out completely, then we bring the whites back just before they burn out, and then we bring the blacks in. Let's get this right, bring the blacks. Okay, so that's for across, and then what I'll do is go into, so you're going to leave those exactly as they are and hit Reala Ace, and that gives me some nice colours. So I've balanced up for black and white and then save it as Reala. Okay, again, that's all I want to do. Okay, so those were the two shots you saw me take. One thing you didn't see on camera is this guy came down and nearly took my head out, landed just in front of me. I had just swapped to my other lens, my longer lens, and again, very little editing is required on this one. So again, I'll go for Reala. I will do a little bit of a crop in, didn't need to do much, and then I'll save that one as well. Okay, so that's the editing I do. Like I see, if you get it right in the camera, you don't need to do a great deal of editing.